Good morning, guys. Today I have a story for you of a lady that went to, I think it's called Maida Toyota, Maita Toyota, and that's in Sacramento, California. And she took her vehicle there for either checkup or some service work, and they gave her a list of things that need to be done. Now I'm going to give you some pros and cons of this entire situation, and we're going to talk about a gentleman that is an independent shop that she took the vehicle to for a second opinion, and he just did a phenomenal job. And it's kind of like he should be the the benchmark or the achievement point that most garages on how they should treat their customers. And this is how I treat my customers too. Anytime I deal with my customers, this should be the staple of how customers are actually treated. I'm going to go over some things that I kind of agree with and don't agree with, but it's not necessarily agree or don't agree. It's just to add some points to, I guess you can say. Here's a video of this lady's interaction after leaving the dealership and then going to take her car to this guy, and how professional he was with the way he treated her when she came back to pick up her vehicle. It went from approximately an $8,000 bill down to a $450 bill whenever she was returned the car from the independent guy. The dealership said it would be about $8 grand. He ended up getting it done for about $450. And let's go over some reasons why after the video. Here's the interaction that she had with him.
And that's a safety issue.
Yeah.
You had 3 burned out light bulbs, did all those.
On my license plate?
And you had a side marker that was out. It's all there. I went down that list line by line for you. It's front wheel drive. It has like, I think 4 engine mounts. You got one in the front, one in the back, one at each end, and then at the very top of the engine, there's a little bar about this big that looks like a dog bone. It really does. It's an aluminum looking dog bone. And they do crack. And then the engine is allowed to move forward and backwards. Well, yours has the most minor crack in it, but it's not broken. Okay. So it's like until it physically breaks in half and the engine starts going clunk, 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 like at stop signs or something, then you fix it. They're cheap. Well, they're fairly cheap to fix, but it's not broken today.
No, okay.
But it's technically cracked. See, everything they have on there is technicalities. Your dog bone is technically cracked. You had the most minor of seepage coming out of your steering gear. I wouldn't fix it. But see, they're picking on everything for you because they're trying to sell you what, $4,000 or $5,000 worth of work.
No, let's try 8,500.
Yeah, it's like no, not going to happen. Eventually, if you keep it long enough, you will have to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Right.
But not today.
Okay.
Not tomorrow.
Okay.
So anyway, and then next time for like a missing cotter pin or something.
Oh,
yeah, on the ball joint. Well, we fix that.
Right front lower ball joint missing outer pin.
Yeah, I don't know where it went, but it was gone. And I said, Dylan, put in a new one. So he popped one in and done.
And you said that could be missing from what?
Doing the lower control arm if they did it on the right hand side.
And that was, yeah, AAA
so
did that.
See, the pin was missing on the right hand side, but I didn't know they did the right control arm. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
to that.
left and right.
So they probably just forgot to put the cotter pin in, so we did it for you. Not that it was going to come apart, but it was on the list. I just wanted to go over your list.
So that whole, okay, what did you say about the power steering rack and pinion leaking?
Oh, it's not a leak. Okay, everything in the world eventually seeps enough to where it collects dust. But see, technically you could say that's a leak. No, it leaks when it starts dripping and you keep adding fluid, like your car.
Gotcha.
Your mom's going to have something like this on her car right now. She's losing fluid. You are not. So
okay.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And then the right front axle leaking grease. You said you guys
tightened the clamp and cleaned it off for you.
So was the boot torn?
No, the clamp was loose. What happens is you got the boot like this and the axle goes inside. Well, they got a clamp that holds it tight, right?
Yeah.
Well, the clamp loosened up a little bit and grease starts leaking between the boot here and the axle here. It just starts wicking out. Tighten it up. That's all we did, tighten it up. Instead of replacing the axle for $1,800.
$1,800, okay. What's my total today?
$453.38.
A lot better. I was able to bring my car home.
Now let's talk about this interaction. What just happened? Excellent customer service, excellent layout. I kind of like how he went over everything step by step that the dealer, the Toyota dealer, had put down for possible things that have to be replaced or that should be replaced. Now, obviously, these parts are not cheap because the CV axle alone is an $1,800 axle. Now, a lot of people would see this as a situation where if fluid's coming out of it, just tightening up a clamp is probably not going to suffice, because with that being a CV eccentric there and constantly moving back and forth and spinning, maybe that band is no longer, maybe it's something more than just the little hook that comes over and grabs it. It's wore out. Maybe it's about to break. Just tightening it up sometimes is not always the fix for it. But in a situation like this, sure, it won't hurt. So a good option to give the customer. You give the customer, hey, you want me to just tighten it up right now, or do you want it replaced? The dealer probably didn't do that because they have an overhead. They have technicians that have to make money, and they have certain things that have to be done a certain way. Is it bad on them that they recommended replacing it versus just tightening up with a clamp? No. It's still a business at the end of the day. They still have to make money, but Otis really did go above and beyond to take care of the customer here, which is stellar. If you see in the video, she actually says, I had it fixed. So she must have had it fixed anyway, even after tightening up the clamp. Now, anytime you have a suspension or an engine component or a major structural component or something holding something together, if it's cracked and you know it's a common problem and they need to be replaced, especially something like a dog bone, you can get by and just let it sit there, and when it gets worse, like Mr. Otis said, fix it then and buy some more time. But if you're not hurting for money, why even take that chance? Just go get it replaced, get it fixed. That's the actual right way to do it, to see how far you can get by, because that's how we end up running into situations where we end up letting our vehicle get by. We try to see if we can get more out of it before we have to replace it, and this is how we end up running into more money and more problems and more failures in the future. What if that dog bone goes to crack and all of a sudden that engine gets to clanking back and forth and it wears out another component prematurely because you didn't take care of it ahead of time? That's why it's called preventative maintenance, right? And when we see things like this and when we get inspections and stuff like that, we should take care of these things ahead of time. Now, $8,000 versus $450 or whatever, that's a huge difference for sure. But again, the dealers in the business make money. When they see things cracked or leaking or something like that, it's not as much as let's go ahead and tighten it up. It's more of a replace, because we don't want to have to be on the line for if we tighten something up and then all of a sudden, well, you touched the vehicle last and you tightened it up and now all of a sudden it came apart because you tightened it up to its limit and then it broke. You see what I'm saying? There's a liability there. Whereas most independent shops, they're like, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this a little bit for you for free right now, but understand there's no liability on my part. If this thing does end up coming loose or something like that, it ain't on me. Also, if you notice in the video, she had previously had a lower control arm done, said something about AAA, and there wasn't a cotter pin that was put back in the ball joint of the lower control arm. And what ended up happening is he caught it and just popped a cotter pin in there. Some of those kits come with a cotter pin. Sometimes they forget to send them with the kits. You should have some of those laying around, so that's typically not something that should be forgot. But just like he addressed, that doesn't mean that ball joint or that castle nut or whatever would have came off, because that's not typically the case. Normally they don't come off that cotter pins. They're just in case in a severe situation, so it doesn't back off. But anyway, stellar customer service on his part. Great interaction between the customer and him. And this is obviously this should be a staple on how, people treat the customers in general, and go over everything line by line and keep them informed. I just wish there would have been a little bit more emphasis on if this severe situation, or if this, or normally it's nice to go ahead and replace this. Not so much. I noticed more on the independent side. See, I'm focusing on both sides now, focusing on independent and dealership, so both mentalities. And when you blend the two of them together, you kind of see the bigger picture. I just wish so much on the independent side that there wouldn't be so, let me see how far we can get you by and how much more you can get out of it. And then there wouldn't be so many stories of, oh yeah, I drove that vehicle for another year before the mount snapped, but when the mount snapped, took out another mount and also broke the radiator in the process. See what I'm saying? But great job, Mr. Otis. And I went and got some pictures from the internet to show Mr. Otis that we have a correlation here. We have found his shop. So if you guys are in the area and you guys would like to go pay Mr. Otis a visit and just tell him thank you for your hard work and thanks for treating the community right, here's some information on him. Fair Oaks, California, 61 reviews, and he's got a perfect 5-star review. Obviously, he does a good job at what he does. Just to make sure I identified the correct shop, I went to the Google images that have been stored under this name, and this is Mr. Otis himself right here with some achievements that he has achieved. Obviously big into classic cars, which is refreshing because you really don't see this anymore. And this might be the guy to go sit down and hang out with and have a few beers. And he might teach you a thing or two about some old classic cars. Well, I just wanted to share this story with you on this interaction between a customer that had left the dealership to go to the independent shop and kind of give my insight on the interaction and what I think on the situation. He did a wonderful job. I don't think the dealer's wrong for doing what they did. They have some very expensive parts on these Toyotas. Also, at the same time, there are some things that need to be taken care of. There's multiple ways to look at it, but this is my thoughts on the situation. If you get a chance and you're in the area, either the dealer or the independent shop, check them both out. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think about the service that you got. Kudos to both of you for both doing the right thing. There's no wrong or right way to do this. This is the struggle that we actually go through in this industry. What do? The $450 repair and then eventually end up at the $8,000 later, or just do the $8,000 now and not risk damaging something else in the process? It's a hard decision. Y'all be blessed. Take care. Happy Sunday to you.